Hey guys, Car Guy V8 here. It's been a while since I've made a video. A few things have happened, and one of those is I sold the Camaro. I'll show you a highlight reel of it here in a second and show you some of the highlights that a lot of y'all have already seen and maybe a couple you haven't. But I'll tell you the backstory about it. Of course, I'm in my white Camaro right now, which will never leave me. This is my favorite car I've ever owned by far, and it's never going anywhere. But, so the Camaros, what happened with it is I'd originally planned to rebuild it, which I did successfully, and then I'd planned to drive it a little bit, then either try to resell it for a little bit more money or part it out. Well, what happened is then I got it running, drove it for a little while, a few weeks, a month, like I had planned to. Then I put it on the market. So I put it on the market, and I got a little bit of interest. It was only on, honestly, for about 2 days. Somebody wanted to trade a four-wheeler for it, and I wasn't for that. I think I was asking about $1,800 for it whenever I only paid $800. But, so there's what happened is, after that, my OptiSpark went out in my white Camaro here, and so I was like, oh man, so I had that other car, so I drove it for about a month until I got under this car and changed its OptiSpark. And then I was like, well, it's such a good little ride. And then I had to start driving my brother to work. So this went on for a few months. I was driving him to work. This one I was still babying it around with it, only about 50 miles on its Opti. And then the water pump started going out on my silver Camaro, the Camaro. And so once it started going out, I'm talking about it was leaking a ton. And I would notice that it would start getting hotter than usual. And whenever you stopped, the temperature gauge would go way up, so you could give it a little bit of gas, since the water pump is gear driven. You'd give it a little gas, and of course the temperature would go back down. When you were driving, it was fine, but when you would stop, it would literally go like 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. So you're like, oh man, and have to give it a little gas. It never overheated, fortunately, because I wouldn't let it. So that happened. So the water pump started going out. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit this car here and part it out. It got to where you couldn't drive it at all. The temperature, it wouldn't go down when driving at all. So I just parked it. I was like, all right, it's time to part it out. Then about the time that I started to part it out, I got some of the interior out. Like the vents, the Camaro, the trim panel over the radio. Also the armrest. The armrest sold for a good amount of money. So with all that happening, then about 2 days after I started decided just to totally part it out, somebody texted me who's been texting me a while. We texted back and forth about some projects, and he was like, hey, you still have that Silver Z? I was like, yeah, I still have it. He was like, would you be willing to sell it? So next day he came out, looked at it. He actually changed the water pump in my front yard and drove it off. And I was there handing him tools and stuff while I was doing it. But the reason I didn't do it was I had put so much money towards it already, more than I necessarily had wanted to. I think about $1,400. So I still could have made a little bit of a profit parting it out. So I didn't put any more money into it. So I was like, all right, this is it. And then fortunately it sold next few days. And so it's gone. So next, I've got another vehicle I'm looking at that may be exciting, and I'll have to show that to y'all if it turns out. The owner of it is a coworker of mine, and he lost the title, so he's going to go and file for a new title. So that should take something like a month. So if everything goes through, it's a $1,000 deal for a V8 truck. I'm not going to tell you what kind, not going to tell you what year or what engine, but if it goes through, I'll be excited about that. So thank y'all for watching. Please subscribe.